All right, good morning. And we will get started. So we're going to start lying on the block with the shoulders on the block, the upper back on the block. And you can have your legs in Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees to the side, or anything else that you want. So calm down. If you're Baddha Konasana-ing, maybe doing it sitting for a moment. Sometimes my hips, and perhaps yours too, are a little creaky about the lying down supta version. But you don't have to Baddha Konasana with legs. Legs can be any way you want. And then making our way onto the blocks. So the shoulder blades, the upper back is on the block, maybe some down on the ribs, but not too much. And easing that neck and head out, using another block under your head if needed. Nice big inhale and exhale. Settling into your body, even if your body's not quite settled over that block yet. And then as your physical body gets a little more settled in, bringing your attention more to the breath. Inhale, opening the upper chest a little more, stretching between the ribs, stretching wide the collarbones. And exhale, letting go, melting off the block. Breathing into the upper chest with nice deep round breaths. So we can breathe into our upper chest without it necessarily being a shallow breath. Breath still draws down into the lower belly there, but we let it have a big round expansion in the upper chest. And if you want, maybe stretching the arms more actively out to the side or overhead. They can come up overhead, reaching toward the ceiling too. That's kind of an interesting thing to do with the shoulders. And then there's the big snow angel arms, reaching the fingertips down alongside, sliding them along the floor and back up overhead, or any other thing you want to do. And then we'll finish here on the block in the next few breaths. Letting the arms come to rest somewhere. And one or two more deep, expansive breaths. And if your legs aren't straight, sliding them out to straight. Stretching the arms up overhead once more. And then we'll, as gently as possible, make our way up off the block. Up here on the sitting bones and then easing forward. Push with the hands from behind, trying to get the feeling of folding the hips first. And then extending out through the spine. Taking that big round opening into the back of the body. And then coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae. And we will come into Sukhasana. Using the arms alongside, lengthening up. Feeling space coming between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. There's still some squinging that you want to do. And then finishing with that, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale, softening and closing your eyes. Turning your gaze inward. And the rise and fall of the breath. Those little subtle adjustments our body makes throughout each breath and at the end of each breath. Is there anything tensing up or holding on that you don't really need to use at the moment? Most likely to face the jaw somewhere, maybe a little too much effort in the top of the shoulders that you can let go of. And we want to have that lift through the core, but not with tension and gripping more than we. And then we'll reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing those arms up. Inhale and exhale, breathing them down. And let's do that twice more. And changing the cross of the legs. Forward and over. Big round breaths into the back of the body. Out the inner thighs, out the knees. Maybe that breath is pouring through your mind, pushing away, brushing away all those thoughts and lingering concerns about the rest of the world. Clearing things out, being a little more just here and just now. And then coming up, unfurling the spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And let's come on to all fours. So if you do have blocks, put them up near the front of the mat in case you want to use them. All right, meanwhile, here we are on all fours, doing a few cats and cows, rounding up, lengthening out. And you can expand your cat and cow a little forward and back, or maybe around to the side. Big circular action. And then we will finish with this cat and cowing. And tuck the toes under, coming up and downward facing dog, big yawn in the back of the knees. And then we'll come down, sitting back in child's pose, nice long pull back, decompressing your wrists, stretching through the shoulders. And then coming back up and downward facing dog. And we'll walk the dog or anything else you want to do here. And finishing up with that dog walking, being in the best downward facing dog of this moment. And then we'll go through the vinyasa, any version you want as we come forward to the plank. So maybe you're doing one slowly along with me, or maybe you're doing 2 or 3 fast. And in the next couple of breaths, we'll all be back up in downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up long through the heel, reaching down through the left heel. Bending the right knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. And through to the lunge. And we'll ease that left knee down, coming up in Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And that big circle of breath up the front, down the back. Then we're going to let that circle of breath hinge us back, bringing the arms wide and down as we hinge back, maybe getting the blocks for your hands here. Taking a few breaths with a long, extended, flat back, almost trying to concave back up. And then pouring over that right leg. And then we'll go back and forth approximately 3 times, rolling forward and up into Anjayasana. Take a breath. Big circling, hinging back, taking a breath. And twice more. And we'll finish with one more coming forward into the kneeling lunge. Namaste. And then retreating the right leg onto all fours to expand up into downward facing dog. Take a breath. And we'll lift the left leg up. Reaching down through the right heel, stretching between both legs. Bending the left leg dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. And bringing the right knee down. Arming up in Anjayasana. My left leg. Feeling that circle of breath. And then we circle back and around and sort of down and under through the floor to hinge ourselves back, straightening that left leg. And then taking a few breaths with a long extended spine, almost like you're trying to do the concave back up here. And then pouring over that leg, letting yourself round over. And then back and forth 3 times. Reach through the left foot, rolling and circling up into Anjayasana. And then the circle keeps going around behind you to hinge you back, straightening the left leg. And twice more. And then finishing with once more forward into Anjayasana. And Namaste. And onto all fours, expanding up into downward facing dog. And through the vinyasa, any version. And then we'll look between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. Lengthening through both legs. And then a little bend in the knees, and we'll toe heel our legs out off the edges of the mat and into the elephant rider. So the feet are rotated out about 45 degrees, counting up, arms on the inner thighs. I'm just going to turn a little diagonal here. All right. Elephant rider across the front of the mat. There were a little squinging you want to do in the hips. And then we'll straighten up into the three-pointed star. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out where my front is here. All right, it's over there somewhere. Right. Lift a little more, and then let's side bend over toward the right leg, bringing the right arm down onto the leg, maybe rotating and looking up under the left inner arm. And lifting back up, hands together overhead, and then over to the left. Inhale and exhale, side bending to the left. Maybe rotating the head and looking up under the right arm. And a big lift up into the center again, and then into the temple pose. Drawing the hands down to Namaste as we pull those knees wide. Inhale, pull a little wider. Exhale, strong into the center, but also sitting bones a little heavier toward the floor. And then pouring forward again, straightening up the legs, turning them to parallel. Taking a few breaths here with a wide parallel stance. Vikrasarita Padottanasana. And then a little bend in the knees to heel toe our feet back into the center, into Uttanasana, underneath ourselves, hip distance apart, or right together. Deep breath. And a concave back, inhale, reaching out, exhale, pouring over. And coming all the way up to standing. Big front body yawn. And around to Namaste and friends. And then let's ripple ourselves into Utkatasana, the chair pose. So we come up in the big front body yawn. And still with that arch back bend, the knees maybe arching a little more as we reach the arms behind. They scoop under, maybe a little tuck and extend as we come into the chair pose. Let's do that again. Coming back up, big front body yawn. Reaching around, deepen the arch for a moment, a little scoop. And then finding the place in between those 2 points in the chair pose. And let's twist to the right, wide arms. Bringing that right hand around to Namaste. And Namaste in the center, reaching forward, chair pose. And then we'll twist to the left, wide arms. And bringing that left arm around, Namaste. And Namaste in the center. Reaching the arms forward, sitting down and back a little more, or maybe you're already in the forward bend. And then over we go, straightening the legs, concave back,
pouring over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog.
And then we'll take 3 deep breaths in this downward facing dog, or maybe in child's pose. All right, so we're going to do our pass off warrior number 1s as we lift the right leg up. Through to the lunge, coming up in the warrior 1. You could use the high lunge here. And then take a breath, really arriving here in the warrior 1. And then coming back down, stepping up to downward facing dog to pass off to the left leg that lifts up. And through to the lunge. Warrior number 1 on the left. Inhale and exhale, big circle of breath. And coming down, stepping up to downward facing dog, lifting the right leg up. Through to the lunge. Warrior number 1. We're going to do this once more to the left. Coming over, stepping up to downward facing dog, lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge. Warrior number 1. And then we're going to linger here on our warrior 1 on the left. Letting that breath deepening into the pose. And let's interlock the fingers behind. Rolling the shoulders out, lifting up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And then reaching out and over, humble warrior, along the left thigh, or maybe coming down and inside that left leg. And then we're going to come back up. You need to release the hands, come back up, lift the upper chest up, bringing the arms up overhead. Namaste in the center. And then let's come up in the standing split. Coming up, pressing down with the left leg, lifting that right leg up, maybe using blocks for the hands. And then pouring down through the head as much as possible. And breathing. And down to Matsyendrasana, bending the left leg, bringing the right knee under, or however you need to get there. And then here we are, Matsyendrasana with the left leg on top, long through the top of the head. Let's twist to the left. Inhale, exhale. And coming back to center. Oh, I just realized I messed up my spatialness. Oh, I actually need to be on this side. Okay. There we go. All right, and I'm going to take that left leg and swing it around so we're in the running deer. Figure 4 on the floor, inside, outside leg. So my right leg is the leg at the front of the mat turned out. Left leg is the leg rotated in. Leaning back on the hands or maybe on the elbows, and we'll do those windshield wiper legs. Rolling up, really press the inner right knee down toward the floor. Rolling through the center, pressing that left inner knee down. And we'll do that about 4 more times, 2 sets. Oh, I think we need 6 more times. Once more left and right, and then coming up. And here we are in the running deer. And let's take a twist to the right toward our front leg, toward the front of the mat. And then the swirling around twist. Walking the hands around. Maybe you can get down on the elbows. You can try to wrap yourself around to your left foot. And then back up. And we'll assemble our legs in the center, together at the front of the mat, coming up into Vinyasa. Couple nice deep breaths, letting that head and the neck hang. Riding back up on our feet with nice parallel lines and lots of symmetry. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn, like coming up for air. And then diving right back over. Concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then once we're there, we'll take 3 deep breaths in our downward facing dog, or maybe in child's pose. All right. And then we'll go around left, right. Okay. And let's lift the left leg up. Through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. Deep breath. Calming down. Stepping back, making this pass off to the right leg as smooth as you can. And then through to the lunge. And coming up in the warrior 1 on the right. And coming down. And then once more left and right, lifting the left leg up. And then the right. And here we are. Warrior number 1 on the right. Deepening into the pose. And let's bring the arms around and interlock the fingers. Give the shoulders a little roll as we lift the chest to lift the chin. Keep that lunge going down. And you still be taking nice round breaths. And then humble warrior. Coming forward and over that right thigh, or maybe down and inside the right thigh. And then we'll come back up. If you need to let go of the hands to have them help you up, go ahead. And come back up. Releasing the arms back up overhead. Namaste in the center. And into the floor, coming up in the standing split. Pressing down with the right foot, pulling that left leg up, pouring down through the top of the head. Trying to feel where that left leg is up there. And then bending the right leg, bringing the left under into Matsyasana with the right leg crossed over. Landing gracefully perhaps on the floor, but still lifting through the top of the head, standing on the sitting bones as we twist to the right. Inhale and exhale. And back to the center. And then we'll take that right leg and fling it around into the running deer, the inside outside leg. So now we have our left leg front, rotating out, right leg back, rotating in. And then leaning back on the hands or maybe on the elbows. And we'll windshield wiper rotating around to the right, pressing that inner left knee down and rolling over to the left, pressing that right inner knee down. Let's do 3 more sets or a number of your choice. And we'll finish with the legs over to the left toward the front of the mat and coming up. So we have our left leg out, right leg in, and let's twist to the left toward the front leg. And then swirling it around, walking the hands out and back as much as they will go, or as much as feels useful for them to go. And then we finish that swirling energetically out through the top of the head to the right foot.
And come up. And we'll assemble our legs in Uttanasana at the front of the mat, coming up onto the feet. Inhale and exhale. Maybe a little nod, yes, or shaking no with head. And we'll come up to standing, big front body yawn. And this time we'll come around to Namaste, front Namaste, long through the top of the head. Smoothing things out with your breath. And then coming over, big lift up, front body one, and diving. Concave back, folding over, stepping back with the right leg, so we have our left leg in front. So we're going with left leg first again. And let's turn around to the wide leg forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana. We're not going to be here long. Just take a breath. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And pressing the arms wide to parallel. Let's rotate the left leg out 90 degrees. And then coming into the warrior two. Inner thigh to inner knee to center of the foot, while the front of that right shoulder reaches back and out the right fingertips. And staying in the warrior two, breathing the arms up, maybe the fingers or hands touch. And then we're going to the side bend to the right side with the left arm up, dancing warrior. Inhale and exhale, bringing the right arm down onto the right leg, or maybe into the half binding if you want. Feeling that sideways circling around. And then tilting over into the triangle, Trikonasana. Few more breaths here. And then we will come down, step forward into the concave, back, pouring over. So here you can just hold this forward bend if you would rather, or maybe going through a vinyasa and coming back up to Uttanasana, doing sort of a most of the sun salute. As we go back, if you're vinyasana in. And then once you're in downward facing dog, taking a deep breath. And looking between the hands and jumping or stepping forward. All right, now here we all are. Let's step back with the left leg Turning to the wide leg forward, bend parallel feet. Deep breath. And then coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms wide to parallel, and then we'll rotate the right leg out 90 degrees, reaching out through the front of the left shoulder as we reach through that inner right thigh, wrapping around to the center of the. Long up the core, shoulders trying to soften. It can be a little challenging to hold the arms here for a while. And then staying in that warrior two, breathing both arms up overhead, two long sides, and then we keep our long sides as we side bend to the left, bringing the left arm onto the leg or maybe into the half binding. So we don't want to feel like we're crushing our left side. It's still lengthening. And then into the triangle, straightening up that right leg, tilting over any amount. Feel those long parallel sides. One more deep breath. And coming down to the lunge, stepping forward into the concave back, folding over. And then let's make our way back to downward facing dog through the vinyasa, or maybe 2 or 3 vinyasas if you want. Don't get too carried away. We have one more thing that's going to be on the arms and wrists. And downward facing dog. Breathing here. Here we are in this downward facing dog of this moment. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And sliding forward onto our stomach into the Sphinx. Pulling back with the forearms to lengthen out the front of the body along the floor, reaching back through the toes. And calming down. Let's reach those arms out wide to the side, or if you don't have room in your space, you can bend the elbows and do like the cactus arms if you want. Or maybe you just want to do the cactus arms. So anyway, here we are. Let's lift up in a Salabhasana. And then we'll reach the arms behind us to interlock the fingers. Squeeze those upper arms toward each other. And then we'll release the hands and coming down. Healing ourselves back up. And we'll put the legs straight out in front. So we're going to be doing Purvottasana, the front leg, which this can be pretty hard on the wrist. So we're trying to do the lift from the legs and the gluteus maximus as much as possible. You could do the tabletop instead, the reverse tabletop with the bent knees. Or maybe you're going to come down and do the block under the sacrum or a bridge or a regular bridge pose, perhaps. All right, meanwhile here, Purvottasana, feet are hip distance apart or maybe right together. Hands come behind with the fingertips forward, maybe diagonal or side. And then feel that rolling out of the shoulders, squeezing the upper arms together. Your arms might or might not be straight. This is where my long arms are actually not so useful. Anyway, and then bring our attention down there to the feet. Flex the feet, reach through the heels, press those heels into the floor. We'll scoop with the tailbone, lifting up from underneath the feet point. And then we pull up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And like you're rolling the shoulders out, squeezing the upper arms toward each other. Trying to breathe. And then coming down. So, of course, coming down whenever you need to come down. And we're going to do that once more, holding somewhere between 2 and 8 breaths, approximately. All right, here we go. Starting with the legs, the back of the thighs, the gluteus maximus. Wide across the collarbones, upper arms squeeze toward each other. And then if you're not there already, calming down. Peeling those hands up off the floor. Let's go to the cross legs or any similar position. And you're just going to reach those arms out wide to the side, reach a little wider, make the hands into a fist, but not too aggressively. And then flex down, stretching across the back of the wrist, feeling like you're trying to press the back of the wrist there to each opposite wall. And then we'll let that circle. 4, 3, 2, 1. Circling the other way. And a big stretch up overhead. Pressing the arms down. Let's see. Well, let's squeeze in one more thing. Or you could go right to Shavasana. But let's see. Let's go back to the running deer. And let's stay with doing our left first. So I'm not being the mirror here. I'm doing my real left. So we'll turn the left leg out and the right leg in. We're going to expand this into the pigeon, or maybe not. But just being somewhere that you're going to fit into the pigeon, having a block nearby if you want it. And here we are. Let's see, where's your body front? Where are your hips pointing? Might be straight to the front of the mat or side, might be a diagonal like I am. And then we're going to come forward from that center. And then you might feel it would be a more useful stretch for you to shift a little to the left or to the right here instead of exactly in the center. Now that we've come to that center, if you want to do a little shift, doing that. And then we'll come up and then we'll shift it around into the pigeon. Pulling your left knee a little more to the left. Rotating that right leg underneath, maybe getting the block under the hip. And we'll take a few breaths here in the high pigeon. And then coming forward and over, sleeping. And coming up. And we'll go to the other side. So we're going to have the right leg going out, left leg going in, the right leg kind of to the front of the mat, and that rolling here. And then see where are those two hip bones facing. There's the front of your body front. And we'll come forward from there. Might feel very awkward. And then if you feel it would be more useful to you to do a little shift to the right or the left, doing that. And then coming up, and then we'll pull this out into the pigeon, pulling the right knee over to the right, sweeping that left leg a little in and under, maybe getting the block. And we'll take a few breaths here in the high pigeon, doing the cobra action. And on forward and over. Sleeping pigeon. And then calming up. And then let's come down into Shavasana. Nice 2 or 3 minute Shavasana. I realize some of you may need to go. Some of you may only feel need to go. Maybe there's time for 2 or 3 more minutes. Maybe if you have somewhere to go or something to do, you can make up those 2 or 3 minutes somewhere else. Allow yourself to have this time in Shavasana, letting go. Inhale and exhale, letting your body rest into the earth. Letting your mind rest into the earth. Taking one more deep breath all the way to the top of the inhale, all the way to the bottom of the exhale. And then stretch the arms overhead, bend your knees, and making your way gently up to sitting. Sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.